Hello everyone, welcome on your YouTube channel of Lalbagh Girls Intro College. This is Jyoti Singh, class 7. As we are studying chapter 1 in history and we have seen already first to fifth part, today we are going to discuss seventh part, and you have already seen in the sixth part the fourth historical evidences. Now in this part we are going to discuss the last evidence, which is literary evidence. So let's learn about the literary evidences in chapter 1.
So children, in this part we will see its last evidence, what is called literary evidence, also called as a historical writings. Let us see. Historical writings are the examples of literary evidences. And what is literary? Literary means of literature, concerned with literature. That's something which is concerned with the literature. And for example, literary evidences consists of like historical writings, biographies, plays, novels, epics. And children, medieval period is the rich collection of literary evidences, where historians has taken lot of information from this period to gain their knowledge. We can divide the literary sources basically into two sources. One is the indigenous sources and second is the foreign sources. Indigenous sources means the sources which are created within the country, and the foreign sources which are written by foreign travelers. So here is the first type, which is indigenous sources. During medieval period, manuscripts in India were written on the following. That means they were written or they were written on the palm leaf, on cloth, on bamboo's leaf, birch bark and paper. Here you can see the pictures of the palm leaf, the manuscripts on palm leaf, manuscripts on birch bark and manuscript on palm leaf. So this was the indigenous sources. Here we can say that the lots of types are there also of manuscripts. So the types of manuscripts are like three types. One is the religious literature, secular literature and traveler's account. They also deal with many other subjects like philosophy, systems of science, arts and literature. But mainly we can divide the manuscripts into basically three parts. One is the religious, second is the secular and the third is the traveler accounts. So one by one we will see its type also. And do you know children, indigenous sources were written in regional languages, in Hindi, Urdu, Sanskrit and so on, lots of. But the languages, like they were composed in different Indian languages and scripts. Many have got destroyed. Reasons may be due to rain, fungus, insects like termite. You have seen this example in with your books and copies also. If you have put your books and copies for several years, when you open it, you see that fungus are there, and you whatever you have written on that paper and copies, they all were destroyed due to fungus. And sometimes some termites, which is commonly called dimak, they are also destroyed. So these were the reasons. Because of that, the indigenous sources were destroyed, but some was there, and that was helpful for the historians to know the medieval history. So children, indigenous sources, we have seen who has written all these things, who wrote these documents or chronicles. And what is chronicles? Chronicles are the historical events which were written in a sequence or in a perfect order. So all these documents or chronicles were written by birds, which they were called as a bird, and we are called as a poets. So birds, or we can say poets, and chroniclers. Chroniclers are those which writes the chronicles or documents. And they all were appointed by the king. And their jobs is what? All the matter, whatever was going in the court and whatever the king was saying, they all have to write in that chronicles and in that documents. The good things, whatever the good things was going on, whatever the bad things was going on, whatever the changes in that particular time slot they have done, all that information, their duty is to record all these in the perfect sequence. So because of that reason, they were appointed in the courts of their king, and they all were appointed by the king. So they were basically called as the chronicles or bards.